Alright, so here's a couple of Warlock builds that you can use to farm this week's Master Cataclysm encounter in Root of Nightmares. It is the featured raid this week, which means that it is not only farmable, but you can do the Master variant, right? So the most important thing here is we want to look at what these surges are. Strand and Solar, which is the same for basically every master activity this week because it's on a weekly rotation. Next week will probably be Solar and Stasis. So for this week, I've done a Solar and a Strand build for all three classes. I've already put up the video for Hunter and Titan yesterday, so you can check the channel to watch those. And so here's Warlock as well. So Solar and Strand, so that's why I'm doing one build for each. Now, what you get out of this is you get a guaranteed Adept weapon, totally random. You can get all of the different weapons at the end of every challenge completion. So the first encounter is a good encounter to do this. You can complete it on average in 5 minutes. You don't need the checkpoint because you can go there straight from the start of the raid, as you saw if you're using the Wanderer Tangle. I've got a video on it on my channel. Then you can do the same thing as Wealth Skate or Shadow Skate and just get straight to the encounter and pull everybody there for you. So I'm using two different builds here. By the way, not only do you get an Adept weapon at the end of every completion, so about one Adept per 5 minutes between loading screens and wait time, you can get like 10 per hour. You also get high stat discipline armor, which if you combine with resilience on your ghost mod, you can get some nice spiky armor. Nice spiky raid armor. Look at that, 67. Nearly 50 stat points in resilience and discipline. Can't really go wrong with that. So this is pretty much the best week to farm high stat armor and Adept raid weapons, at least as far as Root of Nightmares go. So for my Strand build here, I am doing a Swarmers build. And I am basically combining my grapple grenade with a shackle grenade and a threadling grenade. So I have all three grenades built into one because I've got a combination of aspects here and gameplay style that I use to make this happen. So the way I do it is I use the Wanderer with Mind Spun Invocation, right? So the Wanderer turns my Tangle into a shackle grenade, basically. It emits a suspending burst on impact. And when I throw my Tangle, I grapple onto it because that's a free grapple use, right? You never have to wait on a discipline cooldown or your grenade cooldown if you're using your grapple properly and you're using it onto grapple points like Tangles, right? So, and then when I grapple onto it, I hit an enemy, and because of Mind Spun Invocation, my grapple melee produces 3 threadling eggs, right? So that's basically how I do it. My grapple is all 3. I'm using all 3 grenades, basically. Just as long as you have this combination of grapple with the Wanderer and Mind Spun Invocation. So as far as the fragments go here, there's 2 fragments that I would highly suggest you use on every threadling build that you're doing with the Swarmers specifically, and Broodweaver in general, right? Because Broodweaver is good at unraveling 3 arcane needles, and they're good at making tangles or threadlings, because pretty much every single aspect that we have on Broodweaver is about threadlings in one way or another. So Thread of Continuity and Thread of Evolution, that's, my threadlings are going to travel further, do more damage, and Unravel is going to last longer. And then also Suspend is going to last longer from my Wanderer Tangle, and also Sever is going to last longer. And because how am I severing enemies? I'm using Thread of Isolation, right? So the first 2 fragments, they're out of order here, but Evolution and Continuity are to synergize with the Swarmers Unraveling build in general. It just enhances it. And then my other 2 fragments are for survivability, damage resistance, weakening the enemy, right? Not weakening in the sense of a debuff, but a or so that I do more damage to them. But Sever makes the enemies do 40% less damage to out to us, to myself and my teammates. Right, their output is reduced. So 45% damage resistance from warding, from woven mail, and then another 40% from isolation. You can really stack up a lot of survivability with these two fragments. So that's basically the build. You don't need high discipline, like I said, because you're grappling onto your tangles. I don't need threat of generation either, which is normally a staple fragment on all strand builds, but it's not necessary if you're playing, if you're grappling onto your tangles. Quicksilver Storm is just a workhorse, as we all know. It can make tangles for me. As you know, I don't really need help making tangles because they reduce the tangle cooldown. And with unraveling orbs and horde shuttle, everything is going to be unraveled. Everything is going to be producing threadlings. Yeah, you're never going to be without a tangle when you need it, basically. Indebted Kindness is it's special ammo. I find now that Bungie, with the ammo rework, kind of wants us to use. They want us to use a primary and a special. Whereas if you're using two primaries, you're going to get less heavy ammo drops, and if you're using two special weapons, you're also going to get less heavy ammo drops. That is my experience this season since the rework, and I find that I get way more ammo in general, more special ammo, and more heavy ammo if I'm using the combination of a primary and a special. And also, if you're using a primary exotic, you also get more ammo, right? So in general, I try to do that. It's also good for being effective with damage, because if you're using two primary weapons, then the only way you have of doing a lot of damage is with your abilities or with your heavy, right? So special weapon is a good way to do more damage, but it's also a sidearm, so it's taking care of anti-barriers, because the key targets in this encounter are anti-barriers, champions, and tormentors. So the sidearm is good for the excuse me, it one shots barrier shields, and it can pop the tormentor's shoulders fairly easily as well, so it's pretty good for that. And then Caraxus's Distress is building up its magazine in the background as I add clear with my abilities and my threadlings and my unraveling and my Quicksilver Storm. Envious Assassin, well, actually I take that back. I don't believe Envious Assassin works from ability kills, but any kills that I get with my other weapons will build up this magazine in the background, and then if I do need to do a mag dump on a barrier or a tormentor, I can do a ton of damage, especially if I'm surrounded. And especially because this is a harmonic resonance weapon, so it does more damage to tormentors. Very good heavy weapon. It's about to be meta next season, so if you want to go in there and farm a whole bunch, you can get an Adept that you might like. They're getting I think they're getting more ammo and better damage. But yeah, that's basically the build. The gameplay will follow. I'm using, you want to use Void and Solar Resist mods, and I like to use Better Already and Recuperation just for additional survivability. So that those orb pickups are going to give me healing over time and instant healing as well. And then Strand Surge, because why not? And produce orbs from melee kills and weapon kills so that I can get my woven mail, get my healing, and get my armor charge so I can do more weapon damage. So that's basically it for the Strand build. As far as the solar build that I went with here, I played around with some other solar builds, but I just wanted to have fun. And I've probably been having most fun on this Dawn Chorus build this season for solar, for Dawnblade. Double harmonic resonant weapons here for the extra damage against tormentors. Acacia's Dejection, this is one of my main yields from this week's farm. I really like Field Prep, gives you more ammo. If you're going to do ad clear with the trace rifle, which is really what it's for, right? You're not really using it for anything else. If you are, you're kind of doing it wrong, right? If you want to do damage to a boss with a special weapon, you're going to use a fusion rifle or a sniper or a shotgun. You're not going to use a trace rifle. At least not a legendary one, but you can definitely add clear, but because it's a special weapon, you're going to need extra ammo. So field prep gives you more ammo on pickups, on ammo pickups, and it also gives you max reload speed if you're crouching. So if you just hit that reload button when you're crouched or when you slide, then you'll get max reload. Not that it matters, because it's already got a good reload speed, 66, and it's got 100 in the mag, so reloading's not an issue. I'd rather just have more ammo in general because it's a trace rifle and it's designed to add clear. Or if you're on Cenotaph, you can also mark targets. Michael's Reverence, because it's a sidearm and it pairs with, it's double harmonic resonance weapons and it breaks the barrier shields. And then Dragon's Breath, because this is the Scorch machine, damage over time machine, ignition machine. Nothing goes better with it than Dawn Chorus itself, because Dawn Chorus increases your Scorch is improved, and you gain a small amount of melee energy when your Scorch does damage. So I believe the values it's something like 200% more Scorch damage over time. If you combine that with Ember of Ashes, right here, that does 50% more Scorch damage. So you're going to get more ignitions, you're going to get more Scorch damage over time from using both Ashes and Dawn Chorus. And then I'm using Celestial Fire because I like the range of it. It's going to give me Radiant from torches. And with Dawn Chorus, I get so much melee energy that I'm basically relying on Celestial Fire alone as an ability to output Scorch outside of my super, because I'm using Daybreak here, because Daybreak also gets more damage from Dawn Chorus, not just from the Scorch, but just in general. The super is enhanced by Dawn Chorus, so it does a lot of damage right now. Ton of fun. But yeah, so I really want to have high strength, and I want to have high Celestial Fire uptime. So I'm using Ember of Searing. Defeating Scorched targets gives me melee energy, and creates Fire Sprites, which Fire Sprites give me grenade energy, and my grenade is my healing. Dragon's Breath also produces Fire Sprites, so there's no shortage of Fire Sprites around the map. Empyrean torches to give me Radiant on those Celestial Fire hits, and make my teammates Radiant, and then Empyrean is going to allow me to reset the timer on Restoration and Radiant on every solar kill. Solar weapon or solar ability, doesn't matter. Healing grenades on Solar Warlock are just busted. If you can do a build that's not a Sunbracers build and get away with a healing grenade, you get Restoration ×2 from Touch of Flame. So it's the easiest way to get Restoration ×2 on all classes, and you just throw your grenade down, throw out your Celestial Fire, and then just keep getting kills, and you'll have basically 12 seconds of Resto ×2 and Radiant all the time, as long as you're getting kills. So yeah, super good. If you got Resto ×2, it's pretty hard to die, really. Like, you can go without damage resist mods, and you can just go reserves. As far as the mods go, obviously I'm producing orbs with Harmonic Siphon. Font of Vigor, because I want to max out my strength stat to 100. So this way when I have Armor Charge, I have 100 strength. When I kill Scorched targets, I get a boost of strength energy, and Dawn Chorus in general also gives me strength energy from scorching targets. Solar Surge mods on my legs to give me 18% more solar weapon damage. Scavenger for more rockets, and more special ammo for my Acacias. With Radiant and Solar Surge, and the weekly Solar Surge for the Root of Nightmares raid, which is 25%, you're stacking a ton of damage. So this is how you can make master endgame content easy for you, is if you match the weekly surges and you synergize your build and use the best features of the subclass, which for Solar, it's going to be Radiant for extra weapon damage, and for your mods, it's going to be Surge mods. For the artifact here, you're just going to take off those strand ones, get on Razor Precision, and you could even go Argent Ordnance to do extra rocket launcher damage, or Overload to reduce enemy damage output. I didn't think of that, but that would have been very effective if I'd done that. But yeah, that's basically the build. So enjoy the gameplay. I'll do it in the same order. It'll probably be the Strand gameplay and then the Solar gameplay. They're about 5 minutes each, so I don't know if I'm going to do commentary on it because I've already explained the builds here in depth and the goal with the challenge and the farm. So hopefully you enjoyed. Check out my other videos. I've already done Hunter. I've done Titan. They're on my channel. I've done, prior to that, a Wanderer build that you can get a little bit more in-depth explanation on how to do that. So yeah, enjoy the gameplay. See you next time.